In this video, I'll show you an unusual use for these dominoes or floating tenons. I'm in the process of building a printer cabinet at the moment, and I decided that I wanted the shelves inside the cabinet to be adjustable in height. And as usual, I like to try and make use of things that I have around the workshop already, rather than buying something like shelf pins and then having to wait for them to be delivered. I started by marking out the locations I wanted for the shelves to be adjustable to onto the side panels of the cabinet, and I'm going to keep this simple because I don't need a huge range of adjustability. 3 positions for each shelf will be enough for me. And with the side panels placed back to back, I can then mark my lines across them both. This particular cabinet is going to have a centre panel too in between the side panels, so I'll need to mark the same lines onto this, and I'm using a spacer block the same thickness as the top and bottom panels to help position the offset. With my combination square set to around 50mm, I make a pencil mark across each of the lines, and I can mark up the same positions onto the side panels too, making sure that the spacing between centres is the same as on the centre panel. Then I measure the distance between the marks on both the centre panel and the side panels, just to make sure that the distance is the same between centres, and it is. I'm going to use some 5 by 30mm dominoes for this, so I just need to swap out my 8mm bit for the 5mm bit. I set the cutting depth to 15mm and the mortise width to medium, which will allow a little bit of play in the slots. And then I can line up the centre mark on the fence of the domino with each of my marks and plunge to cut the mortises. And then I repeat onto the centre panel, which by the way is only 15mm thick, so I actually plunged all the way through it to create slots accessible from both sides. Once I got the cabinet assembled and the centre panel and back panel in place, I can make the shelves for the cabinet. And that's just a case of cutting them to size and a bit of sanding, and after taking measurements for the domino positions, I make the corresponding marks onto the shelves. And then I want to set the fence of the domino to cut right at the bottom of the shelf, so I'm using one of the dominoes to find a centre point which I can then measure, and I set the fence to that measurement. After making the cuts, I still had a very thin layer of material, so I removed that using a chisel. And as you can see, the domino fits in there nicely. Taking this a step further, and this is optional, but it'd be nice to lock the shelves in place, so I'm just drilling a pilot hole with a countersink in the ends of some of the dominoes. And then I can find some small screws which will just poke through into the shelf from beneath. Installing the shelves is as easy as knocking the dominoes in place with a mallet and then resting the shelves on top. And as you can see, the dominoes aren't visible when you're looking inside the cabinet. I used a screwdriver to drive the screw in from underneath, which worked fine here, but in a tight situation I like to use these things. I'll leave a link to these in the description box below. You can either use them just by hand, or you can slot them into a ratcheting wrench, which makes things easier. So I think this is a really neat solution for adjustable shelves, and best of all, I didn't have to buy anything new. There'll be a full build video all about the printer cabinet to follow on my channel, so please do subscribe if you haven't already for more videos. And if you'd like to help support the channel, plus get early access to my videos, exclusive content, free project plans and cut lists, and a name credit at the end of my videos, you'll find links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description box below. Thanks for watching.